Hey, yo, 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 it's David of Strong by Lee. Thanks for firing this up. This is a PDF that you received, a two-page PDF with your exercise template, your workout template. This is something that goes specific notes about your program, some general notes, some good to knows. We're going to address some of the more frequently asked questions that a lot of people have. Hopefully, you get an understanding and get enlightened so that you don't have any questions, you're not as confused, you're less confused. If you have any specific questions, please shoot them over to me at strongbylee@gmail.com. But I'm hoping that I could address some of the questions you have with this. This is going to be the same. The first two pages of this PDF are going to be the same for whatever program you do, but I usually list out 3, 4, 5 day plans. The only thing that's going to be different between the plans is how the days are broken out. If you are on a 3 day plan, you're only going to see this. If you're on a 4 day plan, you're only going to see this. If you're on a 5 day plan, you're going to see this. And then the gray box will break down some little specific stuff regarding your plan, exercise experience level, goals of the program, number of training days, length of the session, length of the program, cardio, mobility work, brisk walking. And then some of the stuff down here, good general notes and good to knows. This is more accountability, motivation, inspirational mumbo jumbo, some things to soak in and to read to make sure that you're working hard and you're keeping accountable. Little reminders, self-talk affirmations. Progress is the number one, or knowing how to progress is the number one reason people don't see the results that they want, because they don't know how to progress. Hopefully we can address some of that stuff. Length of the sessions really depends on your fitness level, how you're feeling that day. Start to finish, take anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes for most people. If you're brand new to exercise, you might only be in the gym for 30 minutes. If you're kind of advanced, you might be in there for 90 minutes. And if you're really advanced, you might be in there for 2 hours. But when we're talking about 2 hours, we're looking at people who really don't have much responsibility. This is a really top priority for them. College kids, people who live with their parents, they don't have much responsibility and obligations outside. Maybe they're not involved in their family, those types of things. I have a client. She weighs about 160 pounds. She deadlifts over 300 pounds, squats like 275, and bench presses 135, 145, 150 pounds. So she's pretty advanced. Well, she'll probably find herself in the gym 60 to 75 minutes, start to finish. And we're looking at 6 main movement patterns. This is the way I usually break down the movements in all my programs. You don't really need to know this, but it'll be kind of cool to know once you actually get into the thick of the actual program. Acronyms, this breaks down the big letters so you understand what each letter is. Understanding volume, repetition, and set scheme. If you see 6 by 4, that means 6 repetitions times 4 sets. So in total, you're doing 24 repetitions for a particular exercise. If you break out the weight, or if you specify the weight, then it's 100 pounds or kilos times 6 repetitions times 4 sets. That means you're doing 24 total repetitions with 100 pounds. The way that I break out sets, I do what are called straight sets and paired sets for the most part. Of course, there are specific differences depending on the program, depending on who you are, but for the most part, if you see a single letter A, B, C, that means they're straight sets. So you'll perform the A exercise, rest, depending on what the exercise is classified as, then do it again, rest, and do it again. If you see a letter and a number, so a letter and a numerical, A1, A2, that means they're paired. You'll do A1, you'll rest a little bit, then you'll do A2, rest a little bit, do A1 until all the sets are complete. And the way you rest with paired set compared to straight sets is you split the difference. So if for A on a straight set, you're resting 2 minutes between sets, so you do A, rest 2 minutes, then do A again. Here you'll do A1, rest about 60 seconds, then do A2, rest about 60 seconds, go back to A1. Exercise classifications. The way that I classify exercise depends on the complexity of the exercise and how much potential stress that exercise can put on you. Not all exercises will affect you the same way. For example, a back squat is going to be a lot more stressful than, let's say, a body weight squat, because with the back squat, you're adding weight and you can add a significant amount of weight. Those exercises will be listed as primary. Secondary exercises are smaller than primary exercise, but still kind of stressful. They're moderately stressful. Tertiary exercises are lighter stressful lifts of the day. They still support the primary and the secondary, but they're just not as heavy. And they're usually going towards the end of the actual workout program. If we look at the first example of straight sets, you have P, A1. So it's a primary exercise. It's an A1 exercise, so it's not paired with anything. You got the bench press, so you do the bench press, you rest, then you go back, you rest, you go back to the bench press. Example 2, you're pairing 2 primary exercises. So you have PA1 and PA2. You have bench press, dumbbell rows. You're doing the dumbbell rows, and then the bench press, you're alternating back and forth. Rest and the complexity of the exercise depends. The complexity of the exercise will determine how much you're resting, really. I'm not really going to talk much about this because, as you can see, there's a lot of text. I want you to read this on your own. But for the most part, if your goal is maximum power and strength, you want full recovery. You want to rest as much as you can until you catch your breath. If you want maximum muscle and endurance, you want partial recovery. You don't necessarily have to wait until your breath is fully back. I'm telling you, they're both difficult in their own right. With maximum strength and muscle, that you're going to place a lot more tension on the body. The lifts are going to seem extremely tough. They might not move as fast. If you want maximum muscle endurance, you're going to feel a lot of burn, because that's how you get the hypertrophy. That's how you build the endurance. You just keep the heart rate up and you keep the muscles working. You want partial recovery for maximum muscle and endurance. You want full recovery for maximum strength and power. Now, if you get full recovery, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to build muscle and endurance. You just won't build as much compared to if you were partially recovered. General rest guidelines. If we're looking at primary exercise, these heavy exercises, you want to rest anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes between sets. For secondary exercises, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. For tertiary exercises, 60 to 90 seconds. And if you're conditioning, you want to rest as little as possible. I'm giving you this range in the event to account for if you're not feeling well or if you're feeling really well. Some people, they come in and they're ready to just rip the weights apart. They might rest 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes and still exhibit the same performance, get a better workout that way. For paired sets, you're splitting it in half. For example, 2 to 5 minutes on a primary exercise, you might split that to 60 to 90 seconds. Proposed training schedule. Now, this is the second one. If we've done a consulting call or we've hashed out your program, you might see which days fall under which days. In this particular example, we have day 1 falling under Monday, day 2 falling under Tuesday, so on and so forth. Some of the frequently asked questions: how should I warm up? What about foam rolling? What if I miss a training day? What can I do if I don't train? What about soreness? Static stretching, cardio. How do you reduce soreness? How difficult should sessions be? What's the best way to progress? How much should I increase weights by? How do I cool down? Hopefully these answer some of the more common questions that you have. These are some of the most common questions I have with my clients, especially the ones who are just new to fitness and are accustomed or unaccustomed to all of this stuff. But we're just going to briefly talk about the best way to progress for now. This isn't the same for everyone, but this is the best way to generally progress. And of course, if you have specific needs, we've already addressed them, or if we haven't addressed them, remember to shoot the questions and comments over to me at strongbylee@gmail.com. But the best way to progress is called double progression. This is a self-regulated way to progress. Essentially, you don't change or move up in weights until you've satisfied a certain volume requirement. If we look at this example, if it says 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions, so we have a minimum of 8 times 3, which is 24 reps, to a maximum of 10 times 4, which is 40 repetitions. You will stay with the same weight until you can do 10 repetitions for 4 sets. So until you could do 40 repetitions of a particular exercise with a particular weight, you're not moving up. That way you know exactly when to progress. This is the absolute best way to progress general fitness population and most athletes, most strength athletes, because they know exactly when to progress. A lot of programs out there will put you on like a 12-week phase where you're doing a particular exercise for 3 weeks, and then you switch it again in 3 weeks, and you switch it again in 3 weeks. But what if you're still progressing? What if you're still making really good results? I'm a big believer in don't fix what's not broken. So if you're still progressing, there's no reason to change things up unless you're an athlete and you're in season and you're obeying a strict timeline. But if you're a general fitness population, you could just keep milking it for what it's worth. Milk that cow. Yeah. How much should I increase weights by? For upper body exercises, generally 5 pounds. For lower body exercises, generally 5 to 10 pounds. All right. How difficult should sessions be? This is pretty subjective. This all really depends on how, quote, mentally tough, end quote, somebody is. If somebody is brand new to exercise, they might not understand how difficult sessions should be. But as you train more and more, you get a better understanding of what that means. 80% of the time, you should have tough sessions. 20% of the time, or let's break the 20 down into 2. 10% of the time, you're going to feel like absolute dog doo-doo or cat doo-doo, depending on which animal you like more. And then the other 10% of the time, you're going to come in, you're going to feel like the Hulk or Wonder Woman, depending on what gender you are. on a scale of 1 to 10, most of your sessions should be an 8, meaning that you went in, the sessions were not brutal. You came in, you beat yourself up a little bit, but you can actually walk out of the gym and you can actually say to yourself, wow, I could have done a little bit more, but I feel really good and productive right now, so I'm going to cut it here. 10% of the time, you want to just kind of kill yourself. Not kill yourself. You want to assault yourself. I think that's a better word. You want to feel like, oh my God, I need to rest 10, 15 minutes before I can actually get up to go to my car. Because if I get up and go to my car right now, I'm going to get into a car accident. And then the other 10% of the time, depending on how you're feeling, you may just feel like, oh, wow, well, my program says 2 to 3 sets, but I think I'm only going to do 1 set because I just had a really, really rough day, mentally and physically. I just feel drained. And for the most part, you could just chalk that up to like mentally tough. Some people, they'll talk themselves out of working hard. If that's your case, if you feel that you can work harder or you didn't work hard enough, try to push yourself a little bit more. If you're actually trying to push yourself and you're really being honest with yourself and you can't push yourself because your day was just absolutely brutal and you didn't get much sleep because for some reason you're just super high strung, you're anxious, you're worn out, it's better to just come in and do something rather than doing nothing. Yeah? Is that okay? Perfect. Let's go into what a template might look like. We're going to go into a 5-day template because that corresponds with what we're going over right now. So we have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and as you can tell, the volume 4 to 6 times 3, so 4 to 6 repetitions for 3 sets. You're not going up in weight until you can do 6 repetitions for 3 sets. And if you look over on the left, it says PA1. I didn't specify this to PA2. Then the pull-ups, a very similar movement pattern as the bent over row. We're dressing our back, so this is considered secondary exercise, SB1, then SB2. And then we're looking at tertiary exercises here, TC1, TC2. Those are 2 paired exercises. And here we have more tertiary exercises because they're smaller, TD1, TD2. So these are paired exercises. If we come down here, we're looking at PA1 and we're looking at PB1. If you're looking at PA1 and PB1, even though they're both primary exercises, they're not paired. You'll do the back squat, you'll do the sets and the reps, and then you'll go to stiff leg deadlifts, sets and the reps, and then you go to Bulgarian split squats, then you go to glute ham raises, so on and so forth. If you have your program, it already lists out the primary, secondary, and tertiary exercises. All right, so this is the brief breakdown of some of the general notes, some more specific notes, your schedule, and your actual 5-day template. If you're on a 5-day template, if you're on a 4-day template, then you have that. If you're on a 3-day template, you have that. If you have any questions, please shoot them over to me at strongbylee@gmail.com. I hope this was helpful. Please give me some feedback. Let me know how I can improve your experience. All right? Until then, get in there, get strong, get healthy, be great.